Should we start with me just wolfing on a cookie?
Dude, I can hear you eating it from here.
Sounds like me going uphill.
I'll save the rest for somewhere in the podcast.
Just middle of it.
I'll just move it. I'll move my mic all the way.
We never even play with all the buttons because we have mute buttons. We have the fun little that button.
What does that do?
I don't know. Talk. Yeah. There we go. We don't even play with it. We just
talk.
You want to intro us?
Yeah.
Is it already starting and recording?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Okay.
No cussing.
No guessing if you can help it. Otherwise, yeah.
I'm gonna give it a good old junior college try.
Yeah, give her a go. Zach gives her a go every time. He mostly fails. But
Well, we're here in Belt, Montana. Just wrapped up day one of NRL Hunter, and we've got our good friend Serge Ducourneau. Is that right?
Yes, that's pronounced correctly.
that's
Good.
awesome.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about today.
We had a
Talk about some suppressors.
great day of shooting.
Talk
Beautiful
about
weather.
athlete performance.
Oh, bro. I thought we were talking mental capability or
Well, that goes
where's
into
the threshold?
That goes into athlete performance.
Yep.
How'd you guys do today? Give us the scoop.
Well, I went through and just added all of our individual scores. I'm always curious when we shoot a team match, or if I shoot a team match with somebody, how we do, like level playing field, if one person's carrying the team, if one person's struggling. And I'm excited, dude. We shot basically the exact same score.
No, Serge got me by 2.
It's basically exactly the same
Serge just
score.
carried
He
me.
tried to give you some like feel good points.
Yeah,
to
but
make it even.
Yeah, like we already talked about it off the podcast. I blew it. I shot it 2 wrong targets in the wrong order.
Yeah, but you hit them.
Yeah,
So,
but talk about mental
Yeah,
letdown.
yeah.
I dropped the ball. So he's got me by 2. But yeah, we are doing on average.
One person's not 25 points ahead of
Yeah.
the other, basically.
We worked really well as a team together
Yep.
today. I was pretty pumped on that.
Yeah,
First time shooting.
we
Well,
just met each other on
just-
Thursday or
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah,
so
met each other yesterday. Shot a team match today.
Yeah,
But the communication's been spot on. Both of us anticipating what the other. That's a huge one because I watch teams shoot all the time, and the guy that's not shooting, he just watches the other dude struggle and just watch it. Well, every time I needed something, all of a sudden a tripod would just appear, and I'm ready to go. And tried to do the same thing for you, and it worked really well.
We didn't time out. We had one stage where I broke the shot with like 3 seconds left.
Yeah.
Just because it was weird. We had to jam bipods in between low branches on a tree.
Super funky. And also really weird wind conditions. We stopped to talk about wind quite a bit on that one because what is going on? Because it was so inconsistent.
Yeah, you finished, if I remember right, 0.4 left at about 600 yards.
Yep.
And when I went and shot the first target at 520-ish, I was 0.4 right at that target.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended at 0.9 right on the far target.
Yep.
So just within a span of we ranged the targets, got into position in 1 minute and 30 seconds. So that remaining time, that wind changed drastically in the other direction by over a full mil.
Yeah, 1.3 mils.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the one stage that we were tight on time. The rest when we were coming off and having 1.5 minutes left, we were extremely efficient in our movement in that. So
yeah, no issues. Really no issues fumbling over each other. Gear got put down in good locations for quick movements.
Yep. Sharing bags, sharing tripods. And it was really good. And it's not like we went into each stage with a big game plan. It was pretty intuitive.
Yeah, as you're running up to the stage, kind of just like, hey, we can see what's going on in 20 feet in front of us as the time is going, as we're getting up there. And it's, okay, that's probably going to be a high prone or, get up off the ground. Let's shoot bipods extended with a bag on the rear with that.
That one funny log.
Yeah, is this getting aired today? Can we actually talk about the stages?
Yeah, for sure.
No,
Yeah,
it's
definitely
not going to make it.
Yeah, it won't go out till.
Oh, okay, perfect. So I think it was stage 2 had that funky log at an angle. You could lay your entire body on it and do just big extended, triple pull essentially in the front with a rear bag in the back. That's when we were having some of the issues with you would shoot with a left wind, and then I'd come up and I'd hold that same wind to start and just be way off the plate.
Opposite, yeah.
And then switch. Yeah, the wind had completely swapped on by the time you were done shooting to me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't big wind switches where you see the mirage kick. It's like just enough to put you off the edge of the plate at 700 yards.
Yeah. There'd be time where there was zero wind at our location.
Yeah.
And there was a ton of wind out there and vice versa. We'd be feeling a bunch of wind. We'd try and make a bold wind call, and it was like, oh, straight up.
Yeah, you feel a big gust in your face, and then you hold center of the plate and you watch it go 4/10 off the left. And you're like, oh, wonderful.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you guys went to the zero board.
Went to the zero board. He had the absolute perfectest zero that I've ever seen. As center, vertical. And,
blew that little center circle, just opened it up.
yeah.
And I went, okay, cool.
Yeah, he was great. But then I was trending low. That morning I had a really good zero, but there was some funny winds or lighting stuff that we kind of theorized. But I had a low, so I came up 2/10 and I ended up moving my 0 1/10 left.
And that did make a difference throughout the rest of the day.
Yeah, because then our wind was
More or less the same.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm 100 feet per second faster.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was a good day though. It was a fun day of shooting. I think we both probably hold ourselves to a pretty high standard. And so when you're chasing the wind was just tricky, and there had to be some form of updrafts or something happening because there's a lot of people talking about elevation.
A lot of
issues.
good shooters saying, hey, I was 2/10 high on a lot of different, and I think average target distance, at least with what we shot today, had to have been high 500s.
Had to be.
Because I think the closest target that I saw was 430. Because I mentally remember going, oh, wow, I haven't gotten into the 2s or the 3s at all. So I think there was like one 4-target stage that had a 420. Everything else was in the 5s, the 6s, the 7s, and the furthest we had was 890 on that stage 1.
Yeah.
Would have been stage 18 that we shot.
Would have been a good match for the 300 Norma.
It would have been fun to shoot that thing for
Like
sure.
wind.
Yeah, and break targets.
Set that a couple go down. That wouldn't have helped him.
Yeah, he said they were cutting T-posts. So people with amazing wind calls, but not a great elevation.
They're struggling with the easy part of it. I guess we were too, though. So it was an interesting day. Yeah, it was good though. As a team, this is the first time I've shot an NRL Hunter team match. I've shot RTC matches where it's more pair fire, so this is different. Where you're shooting, the first shooter shoots the whole stage, and then that's where some of the struggle was how different the wind hold was from me to you.
Yeah, I much prefer the pair fire style of the RTC series.
For sure,
it makes more sense because if you're, at least the way I look at it, if you're in a hunting scenario where, like a bear, for example, right? And you 2 guys, why would you not both be on the gun? If the first guy misses and has a malfunction, second guy, you both have tags.
Yeah.
You get it. If the first guy gets it, you were just there as a backup, right? I look at it as just a safety mechanism, right? Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
As long as you're both shooting suppressed, then you can both lay next to each other.
Yeah,
that was beautiful.
That's a proper way to hunt.
Oh my goodness, they need to make these matches. I mean, there's cost associated with a suppressor, but it's worth every single penny.
Worth it, man.
Yeah, I have no headache. Which in the past, shooting a team match with muzzle brakes, and you just come off the line after day 1, and you're just rocked.
It's
you're
so bad.
I got a headache, and I want to go to sleep.
And I'm along just because I was there filming it, so there'll be a video.
Zack filmed us all day, filmed a whole bunch of other stuff. We got a lot of good content.
I went and filmed, I filmed Rhett and Richie, and they're both suppressed. And then they're like, oh, Riley's shooting. And I went over there and it was like, poof, muzzle brake to the face. I was like, okay.
You got 15 seconds and I'm gone. Bye.
I was like, we're going to go back to suppressed shooters.
Yeah.
Do you know, I'll say, like, this is the first match I've ever shot with a suppressor, but getting to shoot it with the brake, it's pretty freaking awesome, man. And I don't know. I'm curious at your point of view with shooting a camera next to guys with a straight suppressor and then with a brake, because I have zero, like, any concussion from being around you shooting, right? Like with the brake, because I was impressed with how much that it changed the recoil, shortened the recoil impulse of a typical suppressor push to it chops it more like in just a normal muzzle brake.
Yeah, it's a lot shorter. And like I didn't have any issue watching trace to target on my own. And we're shooting lightweight. I weighed in with 2 bipods just in case because I'm running a prototype carbon fiber with plastic attachments that
Yep.
is in development. And if that broke, I wanted to go back to my SkyPod. And so I just weighed in my rifle with both bipods on the scale
All at the same time.
all at the same time, and I was under 15 pounds.
Yeah.
And running a 6.5 PRC, 153 grain burgers at what it would 2970.
70, yeah.
Yeah, so fairly stout.
Pretty good for an NRL hunter match. That's a pretty
Yeah.
good amount of recoil.
And even the alternate positions where we're out of prone, I was watching a target. I think
Yep.
at like the worst that I came off target was probably like maybe 1.5 mils, 2 mils, but still fully within the scope on 25 power to watch the trace go in and hit
Nice.
and where on the plate it hit and then make those little corrections.
That was great because we both the shooter and the spotter were seeing the splash, and we were able to. It wasn't like the shooter was just relying on the spotter to give a correction. We were
Yeah.
able to talk about it because we were both seeing it. And I don't know that I would have been able to do that if I was just shooting suppressed on some of the positional stuff, because some of the positional stuff you end up in a compromised position.
NPA is not ideal.
Yeah.
Specifically that one that we were talking about in the tree.
Yep.
Like the branches were 6 inches off the ground, which you normally don't see. But
Yeah.
then they had a lot of
Yeah, it was like fanning across the ground, so you didn't really have a.
thinking back on it, I think what we could have done is just throw a wide tripod, use that as a front support, and then just pick it up with a tripod rear. We wouldn't have had somebody on glass behind us unless you just freehanded binos, but you would be just rock solid, and you could just smash that big tripod on over the tree and just not worry about it. But with the front bipods, it was a little bouncy if you didn't get the leg
was.
perfectly set up.
Yeah.
Why don't you guys run us through both of your rifle setups? Because I know people are
Well, if we
super,
got
super into gear and things, and
If
what are
we-
you shooting and why, and
Can we pause and then go grab the rifles? Because then you can just show them.
Sure.
That's a lot more fun.
yep.
Yeah, we can just roll. I'll cut it in post. So.
Oh,
if
okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll
guys
go
are gonna
grab 'em.
grab guns.
Yeah.
All right, we're back.
The boys are back with the gats.
Cool. So, you want to start? You want me to start?
Yeah, roll.
Serge,
Okay. Cool. So, start top to bottom. Abel Co Theorem. This is our 7-inch precision rifle suppressor, all titanium. With our new muzzle brake. So it threads in on any Abel Co Theorem, and you just take off your closed exit cap or vented exit cap. There's a locking collar. We actually already filmed it on how to install one of these, but it uses a standard Theorem tool that comes with the can and locks on, and it's just rock solid. It's not going to come off during shooting. Then a Bartlett 28-inch medium Palma barrel chambered by G3 Precision out of Cotati in California, doing a really good job. This rifle shot probably like a 0.2 group when we were doing load development.
Nice.
What about
for-
this suppressor cover?
Yeah,
Yep.
breeze right past this. This is Feihu Outdoors, Colin Fosson. I love this suppressor cover. It's super light and fits on after the stage. Just pull it off, let the can cool. It's a great little cover. I hope he makes more of them. I think I actually don't know if he's still making them, but I definitely need to get some more of those. Then this bipod, you can see it's kind of beefy, but it only weighs like 18 ounces and it pulls taller than a triple pull. It is pretty damn impressive.
Very impressive.
And it just replaces the legs, so I can actually
On any SkyPod, I believe. Right?
yeah any SkyPod. So even just right here, like I could just sit here and shoot coyotes.
Yeah.
I heard him last night.
Pretty-
Alex,
oh, you did?
you hear him or not?
No, I
yeah,
did.
that
I
was
slept hard
once.
last
Yeah.
night, dude.
I was out. I slept so good. It was what? Did it get in the 20s or just high 30s?
30s, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it got
But-
freezing.
Man, I haven't slept that good in a while.
He's buying a 4-wheel camper after this, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
Definitely. So that's the bipod. So, SkyPod head with the R3D legs.
Those will begin release soon, I think, with Riley Foster
Yeah.
They're still
Rhett and
testing
Richie
them,
Walters.
which is good to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Real shooters
lot of-
trying
yep.
them on a lot of different variations and field shooting settings, and
Yeah,
it'll
well-
be sweet when they're out.
Yep.
they're solid so far. These are just still 3D printed, but like I said, man, they save
they're
so
good.
much weight. When I weighed in, I just clipped my other bipod in right here, which
Yeah.
is one of the original SkyPods, so it's
Nice.
definitely not light. Action, Defiance, Anti-X medium, or their XM
Yep.
action, which they're freaking awesome. Haven't had a single issue running it. It's smooth, looks good, super light,
Yep.
everything you want in.
Black nitride, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, Black Nitride. I was thinking DLC something, but no, I don't.
Yeah, I know
maybe
they
Bolt's DLC.
They DLC their tie actions.
That's what it is. I have a Tie X as well, and that's DLC.
Yeah,
so this is all Black Nitride.
Yeah. Which order your actions with Black Nitride because
Mm-hmm.
it's a subsurface hardener and adds lubricity. Not only does it look cool, but it makes it run super slick.
Yeah, like
And it gets better as you breaks in too. Yeah.
Yeah.
just does. Trigger Tech is a diamond single stage. They ran a promo with a gold trigger for a while,
know, I'm
and I
jealous.
got one of them, and it just looked good
Nice.
on like a black rifle. So I was like, I'll run that. Manners LRH with the XM cut. This one has the Hawkins bottom metal, and I actually betted because it's a medium action, and I only have one medium action and one medium action stock. I
Nice.
wasn't going to play musical stocks and throw it in
Yeah.
like an MDT or any other stock that's out there. So I actually just betted it to this rifle.
Nice.
I do hunt with this rifle, but I put a 22-inch proof carbon on it, make it a little bit shorter and less long because this thing's like 4.5 feet tall, and that's simply just to get the extra velocity. It's a Magnum bolt face on the action as well. If you for a 6.5 PRC. Then Hawkins rings. I did that so I can run a red dot. So I typically always will run high magnification, find the target with the red dot, and then drop down to the scope and be on it. It's a Mark V loophole with a PR2.
5 to 25 or
5 to 25.
nice.
Been pretty happy with it so far.
What red dot you running?
Oh, that's a Burris that I got in like 2012 or
Nice,
something.
perfect.
And I do that because it's a 1 MOA dot.
Oh, cool.
And it's just a little switched for on off. I don't have to sit there and like press the crap out of a like an RMR. And it was super cheap.
Nice.
It was the right price.
Nice.
But it's also a very low height pick adapter.
Nice.
Some of the other adapters are 3/8 of an inch tall, and then it just sits up super high. So right here, I'll just pick my head up, look through the red dot, and then drop it down into the scope. It's really fast. So,
And then you put something a little extra on the cheek piece.
oh yeah, a Hoptic cover or a Hoptic cheek piece. It's just like a little piece of foam with like a sticky underneath, and you can order it dependent on whatever rifle you're running. So this is the specific one for the LRH. You just clean the cheek piece with alcohol and then stick it on, and it makes it really nice, especially when it's hot. Sweaty cheek, it doesn't slip on the carbon fiber.
Nice.
Just makes it really a lot more comfortable to shoot, and it's crazy light. So
Nice. And we're not going to get them out, but tell me about magazines. Because a lot of guys take magazines for granted. What magazines are you running?
I'm running the XM MDT mags.
Nice.
So they're the AICS style, but they are a longer mag. And I went with a medium action so that I could run PRC and run the bullet out
Close
far.
to the lands.
Yeah, I have a little bit longer throat cut
Oh,
in
cool.
this, and so I'm seating the bullets 20 thou off the lands,
Cool.
but I have a lot of case volume.
Yep.
So
That's why I'm running the 153.5s as well, but I'm like 125 thou off the lands. So and just to fit in a short action mag, which is like 2.95 inches, that bullet's sitting pretty deep. So it definitely eats up some case capacity.
yeah, I think my CB, so cartridge base to ogive, is like almost 2.4. And then
Nice.
you have from the ogive to the tip is, another 3/4 of an inch. So they're really seated fairly long. And I still have volume for more powder. I could potentially I think I started seeing pressure at like 3,100.
Wow.
So running 2970 is a very calm pressure load.
Super safe for rain or heat.
And you're running what bullets, what brass, what's your
load
roughly?
Lapua brass, Federal primers, the gold medal Magnum, and then the 153 burgers with H43 4831.
Okay. Just regular, not shortcut, right?
Not shortcut. No, I have a bunch of shortcut, but I'm trying to burn through the regular stuff. I did find through like testing and load development, the shortcut meters better, but they are velocity wise identical.
Oh, cool.
So that was a nice thing to find out.
Cool.
And I found that out by accidentally grabbing the wrong bucket. It was not intentional.
Nice.
Nice. That covers all that. So jump into mine. Starting at the top, same thing. Running a Theorem. This is the 7-inch can.
Yep.
Yeah. And then we just threw this break on. It's still they're being released next week.
Yeah, so that was one of the first ones. We sent a handful out to different anodizers to see which anodizing finish we liked. And so that was one of the ones that came back from, one of 4 different anodizers. So it is a final production model. You could see on mine I had some ridges on the rings. We went away from that. That's a much more clean look.
Yeah.
And you actually don't need any type of tool for the way that locking ring works.
Because you're using the wrench at the top.
Yeah,
of it.
and it's just a snug fit. You don't have to crank on it super hard because there's not a ton of pressure towards the end of that can, at least not enough to vibrate anything loose as long as it's got a snug fit.
Nice.
And the video will show how to get the proper installation.
For sure. And I'll just say that I was shooting the gun with the end cap on. We popped off the end cap and threw the brake on.
The closed end cap.
The closed end cap, and then threw the brake on, and my zero didn't move.
Yeah.
Which, it feels like every time you move something on the end, you got to change your zero, but it was good.
The muzzle brake only weighs 1 ounce more than a closed cap. The closed caps are titanium. These are aluminum. We are going to make some in titanium and then do a limited drop of 17.4, that raw heat treat patina that our biscuits get, and that looks hot because
I want one.
Yeah,
it's it's a lot heavier. It's definitely a lot heavier, but they do look really cool. And of course, when you run a cover, that piece hangs out.
Yeah.
So like PRS stuff or where weight has no bearing.
Yep.
That 17.4 looks really good.
Yeah, it's super cool, man. Well, I'm running a Armageddon gear suppressor cover that you brought for me to use. I normally don't run one, but for matches, you kind of got it.
Well,
you're good. You're good.
We're at the Defiance house, which the guys rented for a bunch of people, which is awesome. So we're kind of we took ownership right in front of the front door.
No, we want everybody
awesome.
involved. Yeah, we have a ton of people at the Defiance house, and it's great. We just figured we'd jump into the middle of everybody and do a podcast.
Yes.
So.
Well, so back to the covers. The reason we're running covers is PRC is considered a magnum, and there's a lot of gas volume coming out and heating those cans up quick. Looking through high magnification optics produces mirage.
Yeah.
So keeping a little can cover on it reduces that mirage in a string of fire, and then after the stage you pull it down. Titanium has a lot of benefits. One of the cool things is it cools off quickly, but the offside is it also heats up quickly. So in the middle of the stage you don't want to be looking through mirage.
The target starts dancing around. You're not sure where you're aiming. Yeah. So that was super helpful.
I do that, and then I'm like, just my natural point of aim is going to be good.
Zack just mind over matters the mirage. It's not going to affect me. So last week my 284 went away. It was no good no more. So I got this new 26-inch proof pre-fit 6.5 PRC, and it's doing okay. It was a rush deal here. One thing I'll tell you guys on the 6.5 PRC, I love that round. There's a few different reamers out there that have happened, and so I'm shooting Lapua brass. I think that this thing would work. I already know I shot some Hornady brass in it. No issues whatsoever. The Lapua brass is a little bit bigger in the web, and so I'm going to end up opening this chamber. Guys are just doing it by hand with our AW2 Alex Wheeler reamer, just to open up that web a little bit. And then you get rid of that sticky brass, and then your sizing die works a little bit better.
For people who don't understand any of that, the reamer is what cuts the chamber, which is what the bullet slides into, and the web of the case is at the very bottom.
Yep, very just above the case head where it kind of goes into the body. That's where the thickest, kind of meatiest part of the brass.
So your standard Sammy dies are not sizing that, which means what?
Yeah, I've got a little bit like you'll see on the video. Some of my, it's taking a little bit more to the primary extraction to get that brass out of the chamber. It's just tight.
Yeah, and
so that's just if you're gonna buy a pre-fit, I'd recommend shooting Hornady brass most likely. But I wanted to run Lapua brass, but it was also that's just what I had. Short timing.
Yeah,
I think
we
I got
definitely rushed the builds. I think I screwed this barrel on 2 weeks ago. I shot one local club match with it just to get rounds on it, which I also forgot to mention something unique. The rail.
Oh, the rail.
Yeah, this one specifically is a sawtooth Dependability rail that is made specifically. He makes rails for pretty much every single chassis. Even if your chassis doesn't have R-lock, you can throw one of these rails on and get R-lock.
Nice.
They're, in my opinion, the best rails on the market.
Nice.
In spec to the
inch and a half dovetail from Really Right Stuff.
Yep. Yeah. So he tests all of them to that Really Right Stuff gauge, so that if you're running an Anvil 30, even the older Anvil 30s where it's preset,
you didn't have the tension adjustment.
Yeah, you don't need to do any of the tension adjustment, and even if you have pre-R-lock, it doesn't slide in that head.
Nice.
And he's got some studs on the front, so you can run your bipod all the way up, and it doesn't just fly off the end. Yeah. Nice. But where I'm sitting, I can see your rail, and it reminded me. I was like, oh, I have to throw a shout out to Matt.
For sure. We have 6.5 PRC pre-fit from Proof, and then Action this is a full tactical ruckus, so it's got the full pick rail all the way across the top. This is more of what I would run on a heavy match rifle, but this is what I had available on a short action to be able to screw this on. But I did not have a bolt. And so Seth sent a bolt down from Great Falls to Helena. So when I drove to Helena to pick up the barrel, Bolt was there waiting for me from his son Lucky. Nice. Yeah, it worked out well.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, this is Seth's bolt, and which is great. Like, it's nice having guaranteed headspace actions that I could just steal somebody else's bolt, and everything worked out great there. So yeah, black nitride as well. Again, every one of my actions forever will always have that, unless I'm. I think I DLC'd my tie. I black nitrided the bolt and DLC'd.
Yeah, because in the tie actions from Defiance, the bolt is steel and the action is tie.
Yep. So Defiance, and then chassis or the stock. This is a Manners LRH with a mini chassis in it. And normally, like if I'm going to put a gun together, I'd do the same thing. I'd bed the action too. But this is kind of my. This was a 223 last week, and so I unbolted it through this, and now it's a 6.5 PRC. So I just run mini chassis. I don't bed.
Just skip setup. Right through the 308 cases. And just go straight to the big ones.
Yeah. Bottom metal is Hawkins Hunter bottom metal, which normally I run that bottom metal for
you can see just
matches.
Like put your rifle sideways. I don't know if the camera can see it, but you have a magwell stop, a little bit bigger.
Way easier to get your mag out because you have to pull your mag every stage. So this is more for a hunter. If you're going to leave your mag in, it's meant for the flush hunter mags. But I sent my this style, the match kind of bottom metal. I sent that off the Short Action Customs because they're building us a rifle for a bear hunt, and so this is just what I had. Again, it's like kind of fun, just kind of
throw something together, never shoot with somebody, and see what happens.
Yeah, so like, it was kind of fun. It's working out. I'm running a Bixen Andy Taxport Pro trigger. And then I'll just go on the bottom. I'm running Salmon River Solutions rail, one of their full-length Arca rails. I forget what the length is on it. I'm running an OBI. You're running it as well.
Yeah.
This is Sky Thomas, who invented the SkyPod, has a company, OBI. I'll let you guys look that up and see what that stands for. But we run these, and we got little clips on the backpack so we could take the weight of the rifle off to carry them around. Super handy. You actually use them for your tripod and your bag.
Yeah,
and
so I throw a tripod on my left, rifle on my right, and then it balances real well. And then I have hands free to walk.
Yeah, it's great.
Text and share memes.
Yeah. I'm running MDT triple pull SkyPod. Use that all day. I never went to because I weighed in with a second bipod as well. We just ran that all day. There's a lot of sloping downhill, and so shooting prone just totally flat. This is a touch high, but the nice thing that we did, we shared bags as well. Yep. So we had 3 bags out. So I'd throw one under my chest and then stack up 2 bags. But a lot of the times the hill was rolling anyway, so I needed extra height, so it worked out really well.
Yep.
So
and for the weight thing, the reason we're talking about that and why it's important is teams is required to be 16 pounds and under. Mm-hmm. And it is a big advantage running as close to 15 pounds as you can, just for recoil absorption.
Yep.
And
that's
that
close
kind of
to
stuff.
16.
Yeah. Did I say something?
Yeah,
15.
Oh, that's what I weighed in at, and I was like, oh man, a whole pound, and that's an extra bipod
with an extra bipod and a bag on the rear too. The rear Admiral.
Oh
bag.
Yeah, we had that
well.
too. I forgot about those. Those are in the truck.
Yeah,
it's a little bag that sits on the back of the stock right here, so you can put a tripod and then you don't have hard contact.
Yep.
You have that's Armageddon gear, and then the bags we were running were all 3 Armageddon gear pint-sized game changers, 2 heavy fill. And
I had an OG,
light.
And then
was that an OG?
Yeah, that was an OG. It's just kind of shrunk up a little bit, but that's the light one was an OG, and then the 2 heavy.
Oh, maybe that's why, because I'm thinking like OGs are like 10 pounds.
Yeah. It's got Get Light in it.
Okay,
so I had it for a while. But yeah, up top, I'm running MDT, MDT one-piece mount or rings for the scope, which I've actually been pretty stoked on that. This is the second time I've mounted a scope, and I've been pretty stoked on it. Running a Night Force 7-35 attacker with the Mil C reticle, which I love. This is my favorite scope. This was on my PRS rifle, and I had so much room for weight that I threw it on this. Normally I would run like a 4-16 or 4-20, but I had room weight-wise for the 7-35, so I ran that. Running the Flatline Ops level. Do you know Halo
X?
Halo X, yeah. This is my favorite level. I run it out in front. It's just kind of there, kind of like a heads-up display. I shoot both eyes open, and I'm always just kind of aware of it. And my eyes work best when it's pushed out front.
Yeah.
My dope card, and a lot of guys, we have a little bit different system. I like having my dope out in front of me. I don't like looking down to my arm to check my dope. So I do have an arm board that I Velcro this little piece of white Kydex to, and then I write my dope down, write my dope, and then I transfer it up here. That way I can just stay on the gun. Makes me feel better. Yeah, other than that, I think that's...
Tripods, both running really right stuff. So I had a TVC 22, is it 22i?
22i.
Yeah,
yep, 22i. The inverted, yeah.
So
the long one.
Yep. It's the gamer tripod that's about that high. You just pull it off, plop it down, and it's knee height. With Vector 4 binos.
Those
which
were great.
Oh yeah.
Extra reticle, bomber, laser,
Yeah, probably arguably the best laser and a pair of laser range-finding binos out there. With an etched reticle.
Mm-hmm.
Can range to 6,000 yards on a soft target, so non-reflective target.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was running. You were running Sig Kilo 10Ks on
the new
34L.
Okay, yep, on a 30. Yep, really right stuff. 34L with an Anvil 30 on top, with a Abel table. That was handy. I like being clipped in, but man, I just kind of like the Abel table is nice. I throw my OG Get Light game changer on it, and then the 10Ks on top of that. Just kind of
really stable,
super stable. Yeah,
and if we needed to, you could always throw it behind my tripod. We could clip into my tripod, and it turned out that it was the perfect height for a rear bag if we had to shoot
tripod front, tripod rear,
elevated. So essentially a stability of prone, 2 feet, 3 feet off the ground.
Yep.
We did that when we practiced on Friday morning. We ran 2 or 3 mock stages just to figure out and not go into it and go,
Yeah, it was good to get a couple. I still had some hiccups today. I'm still going to be mad at myself about shooting targets in the wrong order. But we worked at just the couple stages we shot. We really got a flow.
I still think you hit
him.
It should have counted.
Yeah, it was good. But what other gear were we running?
Backpacks. I ran a Stone Glacier 2200. I don't know.
Is it the Avail?
Avail
The Avail.
2200. First time running it. I typically will run the Mystery Ranch 3-day assault.
Yep.
And have since like 2015. But
Nice.
I figured
That's a classic pack.
Yeah, dude, it's still one of my favorites.
Tri-zip, yeah.
Just figured I'd try something new, and it's been really good. I like it.
Nice. I've been running my trusty 5900 that I've packed out a ton of critters in, and I love that pack for everything. Panel loader when you need to get into it, open that thing up, everything's there. Zip it back up. It worked really good. Otherwise, you think any gear we're missing?
No.
You mentioned we do our dope differently. I run an arm board. I used to run Amazon special Under Armour wrist coach for the last however
Nice.
long, and I was in Virginia and passed it around to a bunch of students in a class, and it never made its way back. So I went, this is the perfect time to buy something new.
Nice.
And I got the Sun and Shadow. I think it's the Big Data arm board, and it's actually super awesome.
Nice.
I really like it. It's adjustable. So the problem with that Under Armour one is if I was wearing 2 jackets like we did this morning, it was pretty chilly. That I would have had to really stretch over, but this one is adjustable, so I was able to have it the perfect tension depending on what we were wearing throughout the day. Wind underneath, hard data on top, every 10 yards to 1,000.
Yeah, dude. I'm like my system, but you were 3 times faster than me
really?
getting range and dope, right?
Yeah.
Because like you're ranging circle range, and I'm having the range right down, and like I kind of want to know the yardage so I could think about when. So I'm writing yardage, and sometimes I'm like, oh, what was the dope again? I'm double checking.
Yeah.
You were twice as fast as me because you just grab yardage and circle it, and you check the DA period, the density altitude periodically throughout the day. You changed it once.
Yeah, we increased by about 2,500, and I'll typically change it every 2,000.
Yeah.
And that is really nitpicking because that change in 2,000 only equated to a 10th at 700 yards.
Inside of that, it was...
Yeah, I could have just mentally been like, hey, take a 10th out, but if it's one less thing to think about, you have extra brain power to think about something else.
Yep. 100%.
So, and then when you would get up to shoot, so the way we practiced real quick and then we held that throughout the day is Jared would run up in front of me. I'd go behind. I'd watch where you'd put your stuff and set up, and I'd set up out of the way, then drop my binos laser behind you. And while you were still getting ready, I was already finding targets and talking you on to where they were, getting the data for the yardages. And so with the way I circle the yardages, I never have to click again. If you ask, I can just look down and go, hey, target 1 is at 680. And then when he's about to shoot, I flip it up, look at what the wind conditions are doing, and then on my wind chart, I can make an initial wind call. And some of the stages we were feeling big gusts, 5 to 10 mile an hour. I say big, but it was big for today.
Yeah.
5 to 10 mile an hour. So I'd look down and it'd be 0.7 at 700, and we'd go, oh, I don't know if that's as much. Okay, let's try 0.5, and it would go right where your crosshair was, and we went, dude, how is there zero wind out there when we're getting gusted in the face?
Yeah.
With a steady left to right at the shooting position.
Yeah.
But we were shooting over a big gully, and I think it was coming up, thermals, sun hitting it, and we were getting that feeling. But on the other side, and the majority of the distance to the target just had nothing really going on. And then towards the end of the day, when I was just watching bugs all the way to the target and go, dude, just hold straight up. And you just watch the trace center punch the target at 600 yards. So towards the end of the day was significantly less wind. And I think
for sure,
looking at the scorecard, we had like 3, 4, maybe 5 stages where we only dropped 1 point per stage. It was like 15, 15, 15, 15.
Yeah.
So that was pretty fun.
Yeah, it was great. One thing back on with you circling, you've got that rangefinder, like we could really trust it.
Yeah.
I'm pulling my dope off the binos, so they have the wind in there, they have the density, they're taking everything into account.
Live data.
And what I loved about it is would get a rock solid range, and then I'd just range till I hit that same range. Right, like it wouldn't even be on the target. I just go up and down the hill until I
find the hill where it meets. And
yeah,
then go
so I
for
wasn't
it.
even necessarily trying to hit the base of the T-post or anything. I'd just get that same range, write it down, and move to the next target. It was really handy for me, just being able to rely on those rangefinders being so bomber.
Yeah, and it's I've used those for years and years, and I don't know if like the Vector X came out, and I was pretty interested, and I actually put a pre-order in on them, and then people started getting them, and I started playing with them, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna get rid of these regular vectors. I mean, they're by all accounts ancient technology now, just based on the year that they were made, but they just work.
Yeah,
they work well.
If you have any brush in the way, you just laser it down.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so that one of the features of that laser rangefinder is if you have a target that's skylined, meaning there's a hill and that target is just sitting up in the wind, and you have no frame of reference. You can't hit the base of the T-post because maybe the hills you're shooting this direction and maybe the T-post is down here. So if you laze, you're hitting 40, 50 yards short.
Yep.
It has a feature where you can tap that rangefinder button again, and the first tap activates and it hits, and you get a range, call it 1,400 yards. Well, clearly that's not our target in the NRL. You have to be inside of 1,000.
Yep.
So you range and you hit the backdrop, and it gives you 1,400. Well, you're like, oh, clearly that's not the target. If that center etched reticle is on the piece of steel, and while it's still live showing you 1,400, you click it again, it tells you anything that's in that beam path.
Nice.
So you'll pick up that target at 600.
That's awesome.
And then you're like, oh, well, yeah, I know that target's at 600 now. And then you can look, and it makes logical sense that it would be 600, not 1,400.
Yes, yeah. Nice.
So that saved us on a few of them where there was an obscurity to the base of the T-post.
Yeah, there's like down trees and stuff where you couldn't really see where the T-post was. Yeah, that was really handy to have that, for sure.
So gear is definitely part of this activity.
Yep. We're all gear nerds. It's embarrassing. I made fun of us a lot. As a group of shooters, precision rifle people, we're pretty nerdy, to be honest. We love our little gear. The good gear, you get what you pay for. You pay for good gear, it's going to treat you well, and it's going to work. So I think looking at the online live scoring right now, we're a few points behind the team that's leading today. So I'm pretty happy with that. Met on Friday morning, shot three mock stages where one of them I didn't even have ammo for because I didn't bring enough to do. I didn't realize we were going to do that. So I was like, oh, well. A couple of hastily put together rifles. Like, I'm feeling okay.
Yeah,
I don't love myself right now, but we're like, in reality, we're doing fairly well.
Yeah. And it's the sum of quality gear.
Yep. 100%.
I mean, you grabbed a bottom metal from somewhere else. And somebody sent you a bolt,
no,
but
true,
it's
dude. You
quality
guys are just
stuff.
naturally gifted.
Yeah, I don't think we're
rolling into that.
We're gonna get into that. Yeah, talking about gear, I just have to make fun of how expensive the gear is because somebody always blows us up because we got blown up for a $500 bipod on our last podcast. Now I'm really gonna get blown up for the $1,000 bipod. That's why the guys always got to comment on how expensive the gear is. But it's we like nice stuff. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and talking about nice stuff, I'm not running one of my tangents, which those things are stupid.
The most expensive scope.
Yeah, and I do love the tangents. They're incredible.
Do you? I haven't shot over one. I've looked at them, but
they're also heavy.
Oh.
So coming back to NRL, weight is a concern, and the Mark V and the NX, like the Mark IV, the Mark V, the NX8, the weights are just you get so much for the lighter weight stuff.
For sure.
That's why I'm running a Mark V. It does everything you need. First focal plane, good magnification, zero stop, tracks.
Yep.
Now comparing to a tangent where it has zero toolless zero, which I think is awesome. and incredible glass, but the trade-off is weight.
Yep.
So in this instance, I'm going for lighter weight, so I'm running the Mark V, and it's doing everything I need it to.
Nice.
So,
All right, before we jump into the talent or hard work, what gear did you run today?
I just had a Sony camera and some wireless mics.
Yep. How did
We don't need to talk about it.
How did we do as subjects for you with our wireless mics and trigger cams today?
Well, the wireless mics only fell apart and died a couple times. The
Gotcha.
trigger cam operation amongst these two guys was
We failed.
B-.
we'll run some
dude,
tomorrow.
That's higher than I was expecting. We did not crush.
Well, you can't fail if you don't even try. So,
Yeah, we did not crush on the trigger cam, so we apologize. Day one, you're not going to have a whole bunch of that footage. I just turned mine on and it ran and filmed this guy until it died, and then it was gone. So we're going to go in stronger tomorrow.
Yeah. We should talk about suppressors because that's where you work. Is that Abel Co?
yeah.
How did you get? I like the backstory, but tell us again how you started working there, or started the company, or
So
what that looks like for you, I guess.
and we got Buck trying to come in and crash our party.
We're filming
All the-
on these things, dude.
All the Defiance folks are showing up. Please just don't turn it off or move it. Otherwise, you're good.
So Abel Company, a good buddy of mine was making tables back in 2015-ish. Saw a cool opportunity, like, hey, we got these tripods, but it was before the anvils. Everybody was just running ball heads.
Yeah.
And nobody had clip-ins for their binos, and it was like kind of nothing out there in the market.
Yep.
And so they made the Abel table, which is our tactical table, which was originally designed to hold binos.
Yeah.
That's why it's got a cutout.
Yep.
But it's also throw a game changer on and shoot off. It's a great stable platform. So made that, and it was being made in a machine shop that does all aerospace stuff and high level of precision and quality and craftsmanship, and a real love for the machining process. So, and you can see that when you look at one.
Mm-hmm.
It's not slapped out. There's a lot of thought behind it and a lot of time and energy designing it, and it's gone through a few iterations, and it will probably go through a few more. We've been copied by China, so that's what the highest form of flattery.
That means you're doing good.
Yeah. So then we were shooting a lot, and with a lot of shooting comes a lot of headaches with muzzle brakes, especially shooting magnums. And being in California, not being allowed to have suppressors, we were always like, oh, hey, those sound pretty cool. I wonder how we get those. And so Abel went from just a little side hustle making tables to, hey, let's get all the paperwork done. Let's get the FFL, let's get the SOT, and let's buy like a bunch of suppressors. And so buying a bunch and all the different ones and realizing there's a very big spread from, like, yeah, they work, but they're not like what I would consider awesome. And then there's the higher end stuff that is awesome. And it's like, well, like looking at them, we had a bunch of everybody's, and we never cut any of them open or anything, but we did look and go, we have all the tools, like, and flow modeling and all that from the filtration side of the business. Dude, I bet we could make these. Let's try it. Nice. And so then a few years of just trying just different stuff with 17.4, it's an inexpensive material, and you could make them and scrap them and make them and scrap them. And hey, that didn't work at all. Or hey, that's pretty good. So then we kind of finalized on the biscuit line, which is 17.4 stainless. A little bit higher flow rate than a traditional suppressor, so worked really well on a gas gun, but the level of tolerance that we wanted to hold and the concentricity and all that equated to working really, really well on a precision rifle. And then once the biscuit was doing well, we went, hey, we need to do something that's dedicated precision rifle, and it has to meet different metrics. One of those metrics being, big caliber ELR guns. I say big, I mean like 30 cal ELR guns, 300 Norma, 300 PRC.
Nice.
So all of our Theorem line is rated to 300 norm on an 18-inch gun, which
Awesome.
is
That's all
pretty
outrageous,
impressive.
dude.
Yeah, especially our Theorem S, 5.5 inches and 10.5 ounces, and you can run it on a 300 Norma.
Yeah, most other one, I think a lot of the other ones cap them at, or minimum barrel length of 24 or 26 inches on a lot of the hunting weight suppressors.
Yeah, we are a tad heavier than some of those ultralight hunting suppressors, but you also, with that comes the ability to run that higher stuff on a shorter barrel and just not have to worry, hey, am I going to blow the sidewall out of this thing?
Yep.
And yours is so much better.
Yeah,
I will vouch for it.
do recoil reduction and sound reduction, right? Like,
And the impulse. I mean, I think
Yeah,
a lot of people
that's
like
a big
the way
one.
that the can manages the flow of gas out the barrel and how it recoils is definitely unique to your can.
yeah.
I haven't shot all of them, but I've shot some really nice cans, and like
Yeah.
yours has a unique feel.
It doesn't have
But
that
people are like, huh.
like a
It's like a
push and a snap is kind of how I describe it. Whereas you shoot the theorems and it is just a nice like push, and then now you put that muzzle brake on it,
Yeah.
and it's still got a little bit of a push, but then it ends.
and then it ends quicker.
Yeah, it cut. We need to build a tool to be able to say, hey, this is if a bare muzzle is 100%, what's the percentage between a closed brake or a closed cap, a vented cap, and the new Theorem muzzle brake?
Yeah.
But just on slow-mo iPhone video shooting standing with a 20-inch 308, the amount of movement is less than half.
Nice.
Shooting just like off a bag standing, it makes a big difference. And we saw that the first night we went out. The prototypes were made across several different machines, and we went out and took it, and I shot one round with just a closed cap, and then I put the muzzle brake on and shot it, and just immediately went, holy shit, we're onto something.
Nice.
Different than all the other braked suppressors out there. We don't have just a singular bore. A singular bore where the bullet goes out. Obviously, it's got that; it needs it. But then we also have porting around it, so it forces extra gas towards that brake face, which I think is it's a 5 or 7 degree. I can't remember off the top of my head, but extra gas pressure into that brake to kind of activate it has really helped.
That's awesome.
Can you maybe articulate for people? Because I got on the suppressor game and got one as soon as I was next to a Thunder Beast Ultra 7 because I hadn't been around suppressors much, and shot a little one-day course there in Bozeman with a guy who had one on his 30 cal, and I was like, where'd you get this? How? What?
Done.
Why?
I need one.
Thunder Beast is obviously expensive. You guys are obviously premium product, right? With Thunder Beast, that's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people they want a suppressor, they're around them, then they go look at them. And I think people, they are price sensitive. But what's the reasoning of why someone should buy your can, which is not on the cheaper side of the spectrum for suppressors? Because I think we all know the value, but I'm not always the best at explaining it.
So
why should someone buy a good suppressor versus one that's $300-$400 cheaper?
There's a number of reasons, and I'll just, for understanding, our Theorem S is 965. The Theorem, so what we're running is 1135, and then the L, which is 8.6 inches long, is 1395. Mm-hmm. And first off, right off the bat, is material, right? We're running grade 5 titanium, but where does that titanium come from, right? Is it China? Mm-hmm. Is it Russia? Is it an allied country? In our case, we use allied countries' titanium. So yes, it is a little bit more expensive, but you also know what you're getting, right? It's not bought from an enemy. Is the way I look at it. So number one, material. Number two, which is huge, is concentricity. Yeah. So two ends, how much when you spin it, does it run? Is it doing this or is it doing this? Wobble. With our 8.6 inch Theorem L, we're right about 2,000 total indicated run out. That's with a hub adapter, so 2 threads, right?
Hub adapter onto the barrel and then the suppressor onto the hub.
Yeah, so the
at the
direct
opposite
thread
end.
adapter. Yeah, direct thread adapter. So imagine having a barrel in the lathe, and that barrel is as true as can be, 0.00001, right? And then you thread on the direct thread adapter, then you thread on the can to the direct thread adapter, then you thread on the exit cap, and then you measure to the inside of that exit cap. We're at 0.002.
Wow.
Take that exit cap off, put a pin into the bore so that the true just absolutely is as straight as you can get with an indicator on that pin in the center, and we're typically right at 0.001, and we've got videos of that. And
that's awesome.
I don't know if they're on our YouTube channel, but that's always something that's super important, and that goes back to why you were able to take
Pull
something off, and put it back on, and 0 point of impact shift.
Yep.
I flew out from California. My rifle with a 28-inch barrel and a 7-inch can is long. It doesn't fit in a case. So I take my can off, I put it back on, I torque it, and that's another important thing is same level of torque each time you take it off, each time you put it on, right? If you barely put it on and then you reef the hell out of it, that could induce a different point of impact, maybe about a tenth. But threw my can back on, came here, checked 0, we're good. And then we went and shot some practice stuff, and
so that's big because like all my cans, I could take them off on a hunt and put it back on and not even worry in the slightest of oh god, I need to go shoot this gun before I shoot an animal. Yeah, and obviously I've tested it, but
it's
pretty
always
awesome.
It's always fun to test it. I mean, it gives you another excuse to shoot.
Yeah,
but having that as pretty much as a guarantee. Like a lot of people go, oh, well, what's the impact shift if I put the can on? Well, there's going to be a shift. You're hanging between 10 and 15 ounces off the end of your barrel. There's going to be a shift. Mm-hmm. What you don't want is when you take that can off and then put it back on to have a shift. Yeah. And there's some that we tested where it was an unacceptable level, like towards the 0.5 mil shift. And that was one of the things that kind of made us want to go, hey, dude, let's try this. Let's make some of these. And so the Theorem line has been killing it lately. Yeah. With one 30 cal can, you can run 6 mil, 6.5, 30 cal exit caps. You can also run them vented. So if you're running them on a gas gun, you can reduce the back pressure. And now with the muzzle brake, that actually is a very effective muzzle brake. You get a lot of value for one product.
Oh, yeah. That's what I push people on, because like the quality, all that stuff's great. Yeah. How does it actually benefit me? Well, man, the modularity of the thing, that's a huge benefit. Yeah. If I want to shoot a 6 mil and I put a smaller end cap on it, it's going to reduce the sound by some amount.
I think when we tested it, it was about 3 decibels.
Dude, and that's significant because I believe every 4 decibels is a doubling of the amount before that or so. But 3 decibels is
exactly what it is. You notice it.
Yeah, 3 decibels is significant.
Like, I don't think you're going to notice 1 or 2, but 3 and up is where you are like, oh, that's actually a difference.
Yeah. So you have that ability to shoot a smaller one, or you put a bigger end cap on and shoot your 30 cals, and now you throw the brake on, and just the modularity of it I think it's a huge benefit where you're not having to lock your, like, I'm going to wait for 2 years to get a brake suppressor, and it is the way that it is. That's how it comes, right?
Yeah, and there's some weird, like, I think it's the interpretation of the agent that's near you, because there's companies out there that have been selling brakes for their exit caps for years and years and years, and then there's some that don't want to do that, and it's never been tested in a court of law, which is definitely something that's always a little dicey because you don't want to be the first case. But our brake, we've been selling it for as long as we've been selling the Theorem. You've always had the option to buy those other caps, be it closed in a smaller diameter or vented. Well, now the muzzle brake, it's only $185.
Yeah.
Being that it's made of aluminum. We're trying to get something with a price point that is, an attractive price point.
Yeah,
But you also get so much value for it.
for sure.
And then, I mean, obviously sound suppression is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And maybe explain to people what is, I guess we'd say, the gold standard of suppressor testing. And wouldn't you say that Thunder Beast's suppressor test that they run is kind of like a pretty good baseline for most?
Yeah, in my opinion, I think that's probably the gold standard of testing. It is a true scientific test. You can read on, and I think it's Thunder Beast /Silencer Summit, and they've done it the 24, 25, and they've done 23, 24, and they're going to do 25 here in, I think, August.
Nice.
And they allow any suppressor manufacturer to come for free, which is
awesome.
huge. That's, super awesome. Bring as many cans as you want.
So cool.
They'll test them same day, same host against anybody else who wants to come. And then they release that data free of charge to anybody who wants to read about it. But then it's a test that shows how they did it, where it is. And it's data overload for some people, but some people also nerd out on it super hard. I know there's a lot of people that hate that they do it indoors, but if you read, it's not rocket science. It's called reading, right? They show you why shooting indoors has no bearing on their testing. Mm-hmm. The length of time for the sound to go and hit the wall and come back is cut out of the test. It does not affect it at all. So it gives a very fair test, and anybody can sit there and watch and see, how it's being done and ask questions. And I think the Thunder Beast guys have done a lot for the community
100%.
with that testing. I mean, they have helped us a lot, and I only have positive things to say about them. The guys over there are great.
Dude, it's great. It's such a controlled test because a lot of people, they can make claims. There's a lot of ways that you can manipulate data, the way where you place that mic or the pickup, right? And that's with their testing. It's a very controlled environment. There's at the shooters, everything's exactly the same. All they're doing is replacing the can, and now you can see like for like, how did this do in the exact same situation?
Yeah, and there's no, there's no questions about, well, what did the temperature do from one round on this day to 6 months later when it's 80 degrees? Like, we all are very nerdy about precision rifle and how DA affects your velocity, how, moisture affects your powder. Like, I know guys that will literally put their powder in a dehumidifier to get humidity out of it so everything's constant.
Nice.
Well, you might have the same lot of ammo, but you shoot 6 months apart, you're going to have a velocity change. Well, that velocity change is going to change the sound.
Yep.
100 feet per second faster is going to be louder than 100 feet per second slower. So having it all done same time of year, pallet of same lot of ammunition, like that's everybody should come together at the same time, same day, and just knock it out. And fresh cans is another one. We accidentally brought shot out cans last year, so our numbers didn't reflect the true. I mean, one of the cans probably had 10 or 15,000 rounds on it. So if you do the 23 and the 24 Silencer Summit, you can see our numbers on the theorem are different. So this year we'll be bringing fresh cans, which is, that was a mistake last year. But tone and pitch is another thing that nobody talks about. And that has to do with the design of baffles, the design of wall thickness or blast chamber, all that. Just like first round pop is another design. And there's ways you can mitigate it. And for us with competition and all that stuff, we don't really care about first round pop. So with the theorem line, it does have a noticeable first round pop, decibel or two higher. Once you blow out all that, like just air, and you fill it with burnt gas, the second round is slightly quieter. However, we have zero shift between that first, like even the cold bore, like we watched our cold bore shots, non-existent.
Yeah,
it was the exact same hold as our second, our third, our fourth, our fifth round. So balancing all of that stuff is very important in suppressor selection.
How does the quality of a suppressor and the run out and all the things that go into it affect downrange precision?
The more concentric, just think about everything.
Is it how the bullet flows through there and the effects of the space and the air in there, or what's actually happening when the bullet travels through there that would make a better can more precise or accurate? It's obviously pretty complicated, but
yeah, and that's probably a little bit over. But the way I look at it in like the simple logical thing is everything we do in precision rifle is round. Scopes are round, barrels are round, cartridges are round, bullets are round. Everything likes concentricity. Primers are round.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you look at powder, the extrusions are round, right? It's a stick and they just cut the stick.
Yeah.
So if you can put a very concentric bullet into a concentric cartridge, into a concentric chamber, into a concentric muzzle cut, into a concentric suppressor, it's just, you're not stacking tolerances.
Yeah, 100%.
If you're putting a bullet into a chamber like this and the barrel goes like, or the bullet goes like that into the chamber, and it's just like, obviously it doesn't bounce. But just for example, right, if stuff isn't concentric, it's not going to work well together. So all of that added together is a full system.
Sure.
And I think being able to prove it through the bullet at the target is pretty important.
Yeah, and tell me. I'm wondering how the decision was made. But for me, like coming from like running big motors on boats and cars and that stuff, like there's no replacement for displacement, right?
Yeah.
And you guys you're a little bit more larger in diameter than most of your hunting suppressors.
Yep.
But like, I gotta imagine that extra volume there traps more gas, traps more sound. Does that play a role in it, or?
We played with flow, like a flow modeling to see. Gas comes in, how does it hit? And so inside we have 3 stages of baffles. We're not just slapping the same baffle throughout the whole can. So obviously gas is coming out the highest speed right out of the uncorking of the bullet coming out of the muzzle. So that first initial baffle is pretty important. And then, okay, well, as it's slowing down, what does it do with a different baffle design? And as it's slowing down again, how does it deal with that third baffle design? So we did play a lot with different baffles and how they were stacked and all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's cut our can in half by now. We're not going to send out like pictures of it cut because it's pretty unique for a traditionally machined can, right? There's a lot of 3D printed stuff and you can get super crazy with baffle design, and it's awesome. But I think for a precision rifle, you still want a traditionally cut baffle design.
And this was another interesting thing that you told me, because I've seen a lot of cans that are get welded and they're all purpley and blue.
Oh, yeah.
Talk to me about that.
So all of our theorem line and our biscuit line, everything's CNC welded or CNC laser welded, right? So we have a CNC machine that has a laser welder, the 3,000 watt laser. So it's the absolute most perfect weld you can have, right? Provided it's set up correctly.
Yeah.
With that comes the ability to give precise wattage to fuse the metal correctly. Titanium, in particular, when it gets those purple colors, you're changing the grain structure and it's not good for the metal.
Not in a good way.
Yeah, no, you want titanium to basically be the exact same color prior to welding as after welding. There's a little bit of a straw yellow color that's acceptable, but any colors that go through the rainbow after that can...
You've changed the grain structure and reduced the strength, essentially.
Yeah,
right?
and like it's not good. And you don't want to use that, especially going back to like an 18-inch 300 Norma. You might get away with it on a 300 blackout, and sure, it's probably going to be fine, but it's just not it's not a product that we are going to be happy to release knowing that we've torched the metal. And so that goes back to our QC processes on the can and cans, and again, price, right? When you QC every product, you have more eyes on it.
Yep.
You have more time, which equates more money. And so that's where some of those higher end products can demand the price. There's metal, there's machine time, there's human time. All of that goes into, okay, well, what are we going to market this product at price point wise?
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I think
So
buy the quality stuff, especially with suppressors.
it goes for everything in life.
It does, but suppressors, when you potentially have to wait for it, and then it's,
Yeah.
I don't even know what the process is for once you've personally bought a can trying to sell it, or, you know, like,
I don't know either.
I don't even know what that looks like. So it's kind of
not too many
yours.
people
You might
do it,
as well like buy a really good one, because that's yours now. Like you can't like have it for a few months and be like, I don't really like it.
And and buying one from a company that will stand behind it no matter what. Like that's our warranty, and you helped us film the warranty video. I think it was like 10 words. It's like, we got you. Yeah, basically.
Nice.
You know, provided
you're not gonna call us, but we got you.
Yeah,
because it's good.
And to date, like warranty calls have more or less just been questions like, hey, you know, am I good? We're like, yeah, dude, you're fine.
Nice.
Just go shoot it.
Nice. And while we're covering all the suppressors too, talk to me about your 22 can. That thing.
Yeah, the pie.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day.
The amount of hours that I had some involvement in late nights, but I got to give that to Jordan and Mike. I was getting texts at 2 a.m, videos of like, dude, look at this. And, you know, they're out in the backyard at the ranch testing it at 2 a.m.
Nice.
And we were trying to make it by the Thunder Bee Summit in last year in August, and so we had a lot of development hours in that, and trying to hit a deadline. And then after we finalized on the design, just massaged little things that didn't affect any of the numbers, just made it easier for us to machine. And then we finally released it in December, and at the Silencer Summit, it performed extremely well.
Nice.
And I mean, did we talk about tone and pitch?
Yeah. We mentioned it, but I don't think we gave it a description of what you should look for.
That's something that it's subjective. You can't really measure it, but nobody likes a high pitch, right? It just hurts our ears. So that was a factor in the designing of all the cans, the biscuit, the theorem, and the pie. Is we wanted a low tone, low pitch, so it's pleasing. You know? And that pie, we had a number of metrics that we wanted to beat. One of which, obviously, going with the precision line of things, it had to hold zero and had to work well on precision 22s. And there's some little things that are designed into it that are pretty cool. The 22 precision rifle guys start port arms, and from what I've been told, don't like traditional 22 cans because they have a lot of crud and it falls back in and jams up the breech. Well, we designed in a little catch in the end of the cap, so when you screw it on the gun, you can actually take the can off and kind of pour out the crud, and then put the can back on and not lose your zero.
Oh, cool.
Which is pretty wild. I haven't seen anybody else do that. The baffles only go out when you take the exit cap off. And so you can still clean them. They're 17-4 stainless. The tube is titanium. But the way the gases come out, they don't just go through a standard baffle. They come out and then they go outside of the baffles into a little area, as well as through NFA Reviews just did a cool review where they get in real tight with the camera and show that.
Oh, cool.
That was a pretty cool review. He liked it a lot.
Nice.
But it's quieter than an air rifle. Yeah.
You're saying that just the bolt or the firing pin falling is louder than?
No, so the firing pin fall on the Voodoo that we were using testing. So a precision bolt action 22 was 106 or 109 decibels. I can't remember which it was. But then shooting Lapua Center X high quality ammo, we were at like 112.
Oh, nice.
But for testing, they used CCI standard velocity, and that was at like, I think 114.
Nice.
I think these were all ear numbers. I'm just off the top of my head. But if you want to see the actual numbers, go on the Thunder Bee Silencer Summit. I believe it's only the rifle testing on the Silencer Summit, but one of the other metrics that we had is that can had to perform extremely well on not only a rifle but also on a pistol.
Oh,
and
cool.
there's a lot of 22 cans that kick ass on a rifle, but they lack on a pistol, or they're really good on a pistol, but they lack on a rifle. And so one of ours was it needed to be good on both, and that was the accumulation of a lot of midnight hours.
That's
you know,
rad.
just after all the work in the shop was done, hey, we've made 250 baffles. Let's go try different arrangements.
Cool.
And it was literally like stack them like this, write it down. Okay, let's go try it. Like, oh, that sucked. Throw that, stack it another way. And then I think it was Mike who got the brilliant idea. He's like, what if we do this? And then he drew it all up, sent us a little photo, and we're like, dude, try it. What can go wrong? It can either be amazing or it's going to suck. And it was amazing.
Awesome.
So,
And that's the pie, the 22.
the pie,
And what's
the
the cost
22.
on that?
$595.
Nice.
And
That's
again,
awesome.
going back to price on why it was priced at that amount, there's a lot of machine time. I mean, you pull the baffle stack out, and you look at each individual baffle, and granted it's a 22, everything is radiused. Like, it's just, there's a lot of love of machining that went into it. And it's been a little really cool little suppressor, and it's 22 mag, full auto 22 rated.
Nice.
And
In case you have one of those.
Yeah, 17 HMR and 5.7.
Oh, sick.
So you run it on a FN 5.7 pistol or on a like a FN P90. We've shot it a bunch on a P90, which is cool.
Nice.
It looks funny because the rifle's real blocky, and then just a little can on the end.
That's awesome.
But yeah.
Well, cool.
And I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but we do have some other cans in development that should be pretty cool coming up.
When can people expect to see some teasers on that?
I don't know.
We got to give those kinds of dates.
Yeah,
because you don't know when they're going to be.
I made a mistake of going back to the muzzle brake. I made a mistake of saying like, "Hey, man, it might be out at X date," and then we were doing all the pricing and seeing like, okay, well, what's it going to cost? And moving it between multiple different machines was out of the question. It takes up too much time on those machines that could be running something else.
Yeah.
And then it involves a human that actually has to go and grab it, and he could be doing something else. So we ended up buying a new machine that is able to do all of it in a single operation. Or on a single machine without human intervention. So it bar feeds, pulls the bar through, does every single cut, then picks it up and spits it out on a conveyor belt.
Cool.
And then we take it off. It goes through its QC process, and then it goes off to anodizing.
Cool.
And that machine is freaking awesome. And we're going to be using it for other stuff too. So it's not like it was only for the brake, but the first parts that it ever made were brakes.
Cool.
And we got a bunch of them at anodizing right now. So
it's exciting.
Hopefully.
So get them when they come out.
Yeah.
Or else you'll be waiting.
Yeah.
Nice.
We will continue. Those will be an in-stock item. So anybody who already has a Theorem can grab one.
You can buy that on your website without...
On our website, through any of our dealers.
Cool.
Mile High will have a bunch of them.
Awesome.
Owens Armory will have them.
Nice.
XCal in Virginia will have them. Those are some of the three dealers that are...
Obviously, you guys are looking to pick up new dealers, so if guys have a local guy, they could probably hit you up. But otherwise, they can buy straight from you guys. They can buy straight from you guys and have it transferred to their local suppressor.
Exactly. So we do online sales. It's a little bit more involved in the sense that all you have to do is type in the FFL name that you want it to go to. We reach out to that FFL. We get all their paperwork. We do our paperwork to do the transfer to Form 3 to do the transfer to them, and then you go and you do your fingerprints at them. We've been pretty open about the fact that we don't want to go through distribution. We'd have to add more onto the price to be able to. Distributors want a big chunk, and they don't explain the value like you were talking about. You know, what what's the cost? What's all this? Why this? I want to work directly with the dealers.
Yep.
So when they have questions, they come to me and I can answer them in timely manner. And when our customers, because I started as essentially the customer, right? I was buying all of the precision rifle crap, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. If I was in a state that allowed suppressor ownership, we probably wouldn't have started Abel. We'd just be buying Thunder Beast.
Yeah.
And no hesitation saying that.
Yeah, for sure.
Being that we do have a lot of employees in the state and we don't want to leave and just leave them hanging, we're fairly rooted in the state.
Nice.
I don't think we're
That's cool.
gonna be leaving.
So moving a machine shop sounds terrible too.
Yeah, it's definitely not gonna be 6 weeks like may have been posted recently. If they can do it, they need to get into the business of moving machine shops.
Who's moving a machine shop?
Voodoo
Oh,
recently
really?
said
Wow.
they're moving, and the post that was online was we'll be up and running in 6 weeks. And
That's wild.
yeah,
I just remember Kafaru Backpacks. They're a sew shop, right? And they moved from Colorado to Wyoming, and I think their timeline was somewhere around there, and it ended up being significantly longer. It's just hard to move an operation, man.
well, not to mention like moving CNC machines. One, you're not doing it yourself.
Yeah.
You're hiring a company that knows how to move it, and then set up.
Dude, set up.
Resetting it up in
Not
your
to
new
mention
shop.
the dumb electricians to hook up power to it before the guys come out to level it and do all the craziness.
What about when you this happened to us on that new machine. We buy it, it comes to us, and we're looking at it and going, why did they put the hole there and the power there?
Yeah.
We ended up having to cut and route and do all this stuff just to get the power out of the machine where it should have been.
Yeah.
Which was, dude,
I've hooked up so many machines, and there's always a crew of there's a crane guy there that sets it in place, and then there's a crew of dudes ready to get that thing set up, but they're waiting on me to get the power into it.
And maybe if you only have 3 machines, 6 weeks probably, but Voodoo's been making great stuff, and their 22s are awesome.
Yeah.
And now they're doing 1911s. I don't have any experience with that, but I imagine they have more than 3 machines.
Yeah.
6 weeks is a freaking Hail Mary throw. Put a 1 in front of that and still be pleasantly surprised
for sure
when it happens to be 12 weeks.
Yeah.
So we're not moving that. We will eventually have to move to a bigger shop, but when that happens, I think we're going to have some things set up so that we don't get behind.
Yeah.
But that's a year plan before you even move.
Yep.
Because right now our lead times, we've been doing extremely good staying on top of it, and we're about 3 to 4 weeks on the theorems. Biscuits are a little bit quicker just because the weld time is less. We can batch them bigger and faster.
Nice.
And there's also less baffles. The Theorem L has 12 welded components, and a biscuit has 6.
Oh, wow.
So just all of that adds up into total length of time of manufacture.
Nice. Sick. Got a good understanding on the company for sure, man. That's awesome. I'm sold on them. But I think we should jump into our hot
we
topic
gotta
of
keep
discussion.
it quick though. I only got like 15 minutes on my camera card.
All right, just talk to me about.
You talk to me.
No, so Zach's pretty confident that hard work can overcome talent, natural born talent.
Me. Hard work. Have never been good at anything without hard work. I suck at chess, Jared.
You haven't put in the work. No. Yeah. All right. Okay. I kind of agree. So me and Zach, I think we've been accused of being naturally good at stuff a lot. But what people don't see is the hours and hours and hours of hard work that we put in to get to a level of proficiency. Mm-hmm. Is that fair?
Yeah.
But my contention is that there's a cap. You can only work so hard. I could work as hard as I want. I ain't gonna beat Tiger Woods at golf. It ain't gonna happen, dude.
Because you'll never outwork him is why.
Even
it's like Kobe. You couldn't outwork Kobe, so you probably won't be better than him.
Yeah. this whole discussion came out about precision rifle shooting because, like, to your point, basketball, you could be blessed to be tall. Yeah. I see some goofy white dudes in the NBA, and like they're tall, so they could just like put it in the basket. That's not what I'm talking. For precision rifle, there's a mental talent to be able to make really good decisions under pressure
quickly.
Yes, and the best shooters in my mind are the ones that are naturally good at making more right decisions than everybody else.
But what made him naturally good? They all were a little baby at one point.
What made Stephen Hawking so smart, dude? He couldn't even freaking move his arms, and he's freaking writing books about black holes and stuff.
It probably had to do with something over the course of their life that crafted it that way. I don't think that, like, the process of shooting a rifle or even a bow is, like, undiscovered of what allows good execution. I'm not saying that it's easy. Like, the mental aspect is 100% the hardest part.
Have you instructed
because you
bow?
can't, like, measure you can't, like, there's no scoreboard for how your brain works. Like, that's between you and you.
Yeah.
Which is the hard part. Like, I can go measure where my bullet hits and measure my legs and my body and look at it and view it, but in your head, like, that's just you.
Think about it like this. Have you instructed anybody in bows? I've been told you're fairly good with a bow.
I would say that I've helped a few people.
Okay. And enough to see where one person just draws and just having not instructed them at all, they just naturally draw it to where it needs to be.
But they'll all hit a block when they shoot enough to make it mental.
Yeah.
But yes, there's definitely people who one person would pick up a bow and draw it more naturally than another person. But that's probably it's not.
You just said naturally.
It's not natural. It's not natural. I feel like we're just on a different pathway of, like, you think like you're just born with it. No, those people
you were born with a higher ceiling is what I'm saying.
Through, like, their dad actually played catch with them in the yard, and they went and played. They got put in gymnastics as a kid, and their body, like, awareness is, you could say, I don't know if natural.
They were cultivated
right word,
earlier,
but their life experiences led them to more. Or more naturally draw the bow.
What about, like,
or grab a gun or whatever it is?
The what I see is I've instructed a lot of people with precision rifle. I won't say I'm the best instructor at all, but I enjoy helping people get better.
Yeah.
And I've seen some people, you talk about natural point of aim, and maybe they just listen better.
Yeah.
But they get behind a rifle and they're like, oh yeah, I got the target on. And then you get other people and they're doing this, where's the target? And you're like, dude, it's just right there. Yeah. But I feel like with a rifle with a magnified optic, there are some people who just, like, naturally fall into that NPA and it's just naturally easier for them. Yeah. And so what my argument was if you have two people identically the same, let's say their dad played catch with them at the same age, and they are identical, and we're going to say shooter A is naturally more gifted, and they practice 2 hours a week. And you have shooter B, who is not naturally gifted, but practices 2 hours a week. Shooter A is going to be better, even with less practice, just because they have that natural, hey, I pick up a rifle and I have no scope shadow. Everything's good. And by the way, rifles set up identical. They're the same height. They're the same weight, same physical. Yeah. There is that natural ability to just, it just, like, it falls together nicely. Like we were talking about on the drive up here about enduro racing and stuff.
Hard enduro.
Hard enduro. And there's some dudes that just look like the motorcycle is part of them.
Dude, without trying, dude.
And I've spent a lot of hours on a motorcycle and put a lot of miles.
Like, working way too hard.
Yeah, I probably look like compared to those dudes, this is my first day on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've got buddies.
When the first day you rode a bike, who did you start riding with?
With my dad.
Like, if the first day you started riding a bike was, like, with dudes that were, like, up here, I bet your progression would have been insane.
Yeah.
You know, maybe. Like, I mean, I rode bicycles for, since I was like 3 years old, and then my dad always had motorcycles, and he rode, professionally for work, and I rode with him, and I still am not all that good. I raced mini supermoto and stuff, and raced go-karts and all that, and I still sometimes feel like I ride with some of my buddies who raced as well, and I'm like, man, I'll just
feel like
tootle along or behind you.
all the greats though across the board, like they always outworked.
Well,
yeah,
born
but
with a naturally higher ceiling.
Yeah,
Dude, talk to me. So, like with Bose, we've both gone through target panic, right? Right.
Yes.
And we've had to change our shot process from a command shot to a surprise shot to overcome the target panic of our brain, right? Mm-hmm. But then you got Sam Davis that just puts the pin on it and hits the trigger and no target panic.
Yeah, but you haven't sat there and watched all the animals that Sam Davis has shot at. I'm sure that Sam Davis has some bad stories about not hitting stuff right where he is. Just because you look at his Instagram and he's got animals stacked up, and he's only a bow hunter.
This is from talking with him directly, and this is because for me personally, the target panic is more when shooting targets than animals, because when I'm trying to hold a very, very precise hold on targets, that's when it comes on stronger. And he can, like, he just puts it on the center of the target and hits the trigger like right now. And if I do that, dude, it's gonna come in strong. I'm gonna start the pre-ignition movements, the flinch is gonna come on strong. I cannot do that.
But his like body of experience in that moment is so much more giant than yours that like his body's adapted to create a successful pattern, whatever that is for him.
Okay.
That I think is all based on literally
it's just he's
right?
worked harder. Yeah.
He's bow hunted way more than you. He's put more work in than you.
For decades longer than me. Yeah.
I just dislike the thing that people act like they can't be really good at something.
I'm not saying that.
I'm not saying that. I think that's why I fight the concept. I understand there's little intricacies, and yes.
That's not what I'm saying, dude.
If you took like 10 dudes that on paper all stack up the same and do a similar training regimen, I bet there's 2 of them that, yes, for whatever reason, rise above the crop.
And those are the 2 I would consider naturally gifted.
Yes, exactly.
There was something there. I just feel like I hate it when people are like, "Oh, I'm just not good at math." Or, I'm just
not that at all,
like,
dude.
That's your decision.
I'm never okay with that.
I'm
talking about top of the top.
Yeah, you can overwork and get better for sure. Anybody can do it. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Dude, all these guys out here that are mid-pack at the matches struggling in that, and they're making excuses because it's gear or whatever, that stuff, I completely disagree with that. All of them can get to a very, very high level if they're willing to give up their ego and figure out what it is that they need.
Yeah.
Fundamentals, mental training, plan. There's a lot of ways that all these guys can get better. I'm talking about the topic, trying to knock Alwine off his podium, right? Like, Alwine he just came into this from archery, and all of a sudden he was winning matches.
But I bet he was. I don't know his background, but I bet he was probably winning archery.
Oh, he's extreme mental ability. He has extreme mental ability.
Great competitive mindset.
Yes, 100%, and loves it. Yeah.
Which, like, you might never catch a guy like that if he didn't want to be caught. If he ever let off the gas.
Yep. Yep. Totally agree.
If I think legitimately wanted to try to beat Matt, like, I would.
You'd have to put in a lot of hours.
But dude, it's 2 years minimum of like very diligent, regimented shooting matches, training,
and
to even realistically say
firing at your house
week in and week out, like, I have a reasonable chance to beat Matt.
Yeah.
Like, it's just it's crazy.
Totally agree. Hard work will get you really far. But I think we're on the same page. But
we just wanted to argue.
You're not trying to give. You don't want people to have a pass on why they can't get better.
Yeah.
I'm just saying
that naturally gifted, man.
No. That's not what we're saying.
I've got a what's my favorite one? I've got a thyroid issue. Like, there's a small percentage that do, and I agree, but for the vast majority that are in that situation, probably eat less and run.
Yeah.
And now I'm. Sorry,
for sure.
There's my one cuss word.
Okay.
Dude, I lost 30 pounds for quitting drinking. Like, that was it. And I didn't quit. I just drank a lot less.
Yeah.
Turns out beers have a lot of calories in them.
There's a lot of calories in there. But,
Speaking of
calories.
Speaking of drinking calories.
What do we got there?
James Rowe coming in with some Black Butte whiskey.
Oh, yeah.
Good job, guys.
Yeah, good job, you too. Crushing.
Say wave to the
Oh,
camera.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
All right.
we're getting
Well-
close to my camera's probably on the verge.
Probably
Yeah, I
want to
think
call
It's a
it.
good time. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great podcast. We'll follow up tomorrow after day 2. See how we end up. See if we can take those fellas down.
That was James, who's currently like a few points in front of us.
2 points ahead.
Mhm.
We can get there.
Yeah, we'll get in his head.
Yeah.
We're gonna go talk shit.
Let's go.
That was my number 2.
Let's get her going. All right.
Thanks, Serge.
Thanks, dude.